The banks obviously rigged the rules to force everybody in crypto. And if the Clarity Act passes as it stands right now, every bank in America is going to be forced to adopt crypto, whether they like it or not. There's a specific detailed provision buried in the 257-page bill that makes the economics so lopsided that no bank on earth will be able to say no. Let me show you what's inside this bill. So there's a specific rule called the SAB 121 that says that if a bank holds your Bitcoin, they are legally required to record it as a liability on their own balance sheet, even though it's not their property because of the risk of crypto. That means that for every dollar of crypto they have custody, they have to set aside a massive regulatory capital. It made zero financial sense, and this is why JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs all stayed out. Believe it or not, they're still out of crypto. They're not fully in crypto right now. So we have the crypto companies like Coinbase, BitGo, Fireblocks building the entire custody industry because banks literally cannot afford to compete because of the regulatory compliance. Now, here's what the actual Clarity Act as it stands right now says. Section 310, and I'm reading this directly from the bill, says the SEC and federal banking agencies may not require a depository institution, national bank, federal credit union, trust company, broker, or dealer to include assets held in custody as a liability on the financial statement or balance sheet of the entity, including digital commodity or permitted to payment stablecoin custody. It also says they cannot force banks to hold regulatory capital against assets in custody except as necessary to mitigate against operational risk. Basically, the banks can custody or hold the crypto for 90% cheaper than what's currently happening right now. See, the Genius Act already lets banks create stablecoins right now and keep the yield. With this Section 310, it would let them custody every other digital asset with almost no balance sheet hit. They're making it economically irrational for banks not to adopt crypto. Now, if you combine that with Section 309, which was meant to protect all builders, developers, validators, node operators, and wallet creators, they're basically all fully exempt from securities regulation under this bill because it basically says the individual has the right to self-custody your own crypto. But here's nobody's saying. That same section says nobody shall be construed to limit the authority of the Secretary of Treasury to enforce the Bank Secrecy Act or the Fentanyl Sanctions Act. So you have the right to hold your crypto, but every enforcement tool on the books applies to you if you self-custody. Meanwhile, the banks get near zero cost custody with full legal clarity. So what do you think people are going to do? They're going to put the money in the banks like they always do. Every major bank is getting a green light to custody digital assets at zero cost. Stablecoin issuers are already buying treasuries under the Genius Act. We have DeFi builders getting a federal safe harbor, and banks didn't just kill crypto. They're about to make it impossible to ignore. The assets that benefit the most from that wave are the ones you are holding right now. You better pay attention. It's happening. They're manufacturing it.